What's going on, guys? This is Rob, and this is the last video that I am recording before I go on a cruise for a week. And we are back with another installment of our Beyond Omega Level series. And this is where I usually say this series is where we break down the most powerful characters in comics. But this week we're doing things a little bit differently. And we're stepping out of the realm of Marvel and DC and into the realm of Nickelodeon as we cover Aang from Avatar: The Last Airbender. So Aang was created by series creators Michael Dante DiMartino and Bryan, whose name I can't pronounce, and first appeared in the series' first episode in 2005. Now, since there might be some of you that watch my channel regularly but are not familiar with Avatar, the premise is that there are 4 different types of benders that can control the 4 forces of nature. FYI, Mariah's here, checking to make sure that I don't screw anything up. She's the only person I know who's an expert on Avatar, but these forces of nature are air, water, earth, and fire. Now, there is, at any given time, one individual called the Avatar who can bend all 4 forces and is in charge of keeping peace throughout the world. So, when one Avatar dies, the Avatar spirit is reborn into an individual from the next nation in the line of succession. So if the Avatar is from the Fire Nation, when that Avatar dies, is it the Fire Nation? Mariah, is it the Fire Nation or Fire Kingdom? Fire Nation. So if the Avatar is from the Fire Nation, when that Avatar dies, they'll be reborn as an air nomad, then as a member of the Water Tribe, then as someone from the Earth Kingdom, and it just starts over from there. So when Avatar Roku, who came from the Fire Nation, died, Aang, who was an air nomad, became the new Avatar upon its birth. Now when the air nomads found out that he was an Avatar, Aang was still a baby, but he was taken to the Southern Air Temple so that he could be trained by the monks, primarily a monk named, how do you pronounce that name? Right. Gyatso. Okay, so he could be trained by Gyatso, who served as Aang's mentor and father figure. Now, Aang displayed exceptional prowess at airbending and became the youngest master in the history of the air nomad at age 12, which was also the age he was informed that he was the Avatar. So no pressure. Now, he was also told that he'd be sent from the Southern Air Temple to the Eastern Air Temple, separating him from Gyatso, which prompted him to run away on Appa, his flying bison. Now, Aang and Appa get caught in a storm and seem destined to drown in the water where they crashed. But Aang is able to access the Avatar state, which we'll talk about a little bit more later, and he encases himself and Appa in ice, where he would remain until they were discovered by Katara and Sokka of the Water Tribe over a century later. Now, as you probably gathered from the title of the show, Aang is also the last airbender. The reason for that being that the Fire Nation attacked the air nomads and then wiped them out completely shortly after Aang was frozen. And this was part of an attempt by the Fire Lord Sozin to take out the air, water, and earth kingdoms, which plunged the entire realm into war that lasted 100 years and would settle the conflict for the animated show that would basically deal with it. As we get into Aang's powers, we'll start with what he's best at, which is, of course, airbending, which is simply the ability to control the air. Now, as I said earlier, Aang became a master airbender at age 12, making him the youngest master in history. Now, Aang uses airbending in a variety of ways, some of them not very surprising, like using it to fly with the aid of his glider, created tornadoes, but there were also plenty of instances where Aang used airbending in some really creative ways to do some really creative and impressive things. For instance, on one occasion, when Aang and his companions attempted to rescue a group of earthbenders being held by the Fire Nation in a prison that was basically a big platform made of metal in the middle of the ocean so that they wouldn't be able to use their earthbending powers since there was no earth around. Aang cleverly solves this problem by using his airbending to project the coal used to power the prison facility to the surface of the water, where it could then be used by the earthbenders to defeat their captors and gain their freedom. On another occasion, Aang was able to use his airbending to redirect and cool down lava, preventing a town from being destroyed by a volcanic eruption, which I didn't even know was possible. I mean, I guess if we knew that, the best way to deal with a lava flow is just a really strong breeze. But even though airbending was Aang's first skill, and the one he was best at, Mariah's getting so irritated with me. But even though airbending was Aang's first skill and the one that he was best at, as the Avatar, Aang was the only person in the world with the ability to bend all 4 elements. However, he needed to be trained in order to learn those skills. Now, Aang was naturally gifted at waterbending, initially being trained by Master Pakku at the North Pole and then by his friend and eventual wife Katara after she becomes a master. Now, Aang did not use waterbending particularly often, but he was able to reroute entire waterways and create tidal waves, although he was aided by the moon spirit when achieving this feat, which is kind of a weird set of events. Apparently, Sokka's girlfriend became the moon. I mean, I don't know, like, how do you explain that to someone? I mean, I guess he kind of did when he was talking to that one chick who was a Kyoshi warrior, but I guess, like, I mean, how do you explain that? Hey, like, so, you know, I just got out of a relationship. Really? Like, what happened? My girlfriend became the moon? In all seriousness though, Aang was also able to alter the density of water, which was a skill that few, if any, waterbenders possessed. Now, earthbending did not come naturally to Aang because the personality traits of that skill, at least what it required, which was being stubborn and unyielding, were completely foreign to him. Aang was taught by his friend Toph, who was a beast. Toph was OP, but he eventually develops this skill for earthbending, which allows him to manipulate basically anything made of stone or earth. And he's even able to use this ability blindfolded due to the fact that his teacher Toph is blind and passed that skill onto him in his training. Now, the final skill Aang learns is firebending, as for a long time, Aang refused to learn the skill because when he'd first started, he'd inadvertently injured Katara and vowed never to firebend again. After learning that the true meaning of firebending is connection to the sun, life, and energy instead of simply just rage, Aang agrees to learn firebending from Zuko, who's the Prince of the Fire Nation and one of the greatest characters ever made in the history of fiction. If I could get away with it, I would do a Beyond Omega level video on Zuko. He's not really Beyond Omega level. I mean, maybe we can just cook the books and just be like Beyond Omega level Zuko. He gets that title because I just want him to have it and it's my channel and I can do whatever I want. I feel like Zuko fans are like, works for me. Like, I think it'd be cool, right? So, regardless, Aang was even able to learn the dancing dragon technique, one of the most difficult firebending techniques that had been believed to be lost to the ages. Aang was also able to use his firebending abilities to single-handedly take out Fire Lord Ozai's entire fleet of ships, although his strength was increased by the presence of Sozin's Comet, which boosts the powers of all firebenders, and it was legit when he did that. Okay, what really sets Aang apart from others, though, is that he was able to master energy bending. Now, energy bending, which Aang learned from the lion turtle, which was literally just this giant lion turtle out in the ocean, is an ancient form of bending which affects life force energy rather than any of the other 4 elemental forces. And so energy bending, which is a skill only mastered by a handful of avatars, allows its user to take away the bending abilities of another, as Aang did with Fire Lord Ozai, which allowed him to defeat the Fire Lord and effectively bring an end to a century-long war. Now, for those of you guys who never saw Avatar The Last Airbender, it was a pretty legit scene, right? When like he basically has like Fire Lord Ozai like locked down, right? He's like held in place, and then Aang just like puts his hand up to his head, and there's some stuff, you know, where it's like you have to make sure his, you know, his anger doesn't overpower you and like all that nonsense. But Aang just like literally strips this guy of his ability to bend, and I was like, man, that's why I couldn't be the Avatar, man, because I would straight up be a villain. Like somebody out there would like mouth off to me, I'd be like, what did you say? And it's like, I said you're a crappy Avatar, Rob. And I'd be like, you know what? You don't get to bend anymore. And like, that would be the end of it. And I would just conquer the world. Like I could not be the Avatar. But all of you guys who watch my channel, you already know that. Anybody who's watching this, who's been watching this YouTube channel long enough knows I'm a villain, man. I'm the bad guy. In the comic book story, I would straight up just be a villain, man. I don't know what to tell you. But nonetheless, back on track. In order to energy bend, Aang has to enter the Avatar state, which allows him to convene with all previous avatars. Now, Aang is vastly more powerful in this state, but achieving it requires him to unlock 7 chakras, or energy focal points. Now, Aang breezes through the first 6, but struggles with the 7th, which requires him to abandon earthly connections, which his main hang-up being his interest in Katara, right? Like, he was digging the girl. And so eventually Aang manages to unlock the 7th chakra and achieve the Avatar state. So definitely within the world of Avatar at least, Aang is clearly beyond Omega level, as he's one of the most powerful avatars that has ever existed. And he basically has total control of not only the 4 elemental forces of air, water, earth, and fire, but also energy itself. So, having said that, guys, let me know what you think down in the comment section. Should we cook the books and just make a Beyond Omega level video on Zuko? I mean, I guess maybe within the Avatar universe, he's Omega level. I don't really know. He never mastered the ability to bend lightning, but he could channel it, so I don't know. Like, maybe we can find a way to make it work, or we just call it Beyond Omega level and we say, like, he's not Beyond Omega level, but we want to do a video about Zuko, so here you go. I don't know what to say. Maybe we do that. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section. Thank you all for watching, and I will catch you all later. Peace.